y'all. It's Rain, and if you saw my first video, I think it's really obvious that the whole YouTube channel and video is extremely new to us. We are just starting, so if you have suggestions or helpful hints, we will gladly take them. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about why are we doing a micro mini homestead, and I think just having a little bit of background, you'll gain a lot of information about us. So as I grew up, we had a lot of land when I grew up, and we grew food, and my mom canned, and if we weren't growing it, because of where we live in Central Florida, so we're between Orlando and Tampa, and very close, like within 15 minutes of the strawberry capital, Plant City. Oftentimes we would go there when I was growing up and pick strawberries, and my mama would bring all those strawberries home and freeze some of them and make jelly and all kinds of good stuff. And I have 3 children. They are 5, 7, and 12. And when my oldest, the 12-year-old, was little, I started thinking about, what did I want my child to experience as he was growing up. And kind of that farm type mentality was something that I wanted to instill, because it is a very much of a challenging job, and you have to have that perseverance and not giving up, and you have to be able to kind of roll with the punches and go, okay, I made a mistake and I've learned from that, and let's move on. And I think that that's a good attitude. I also feel like it instills a really good work ethic, because you have to get up and you have to do things around a farm or a homestead, and there's always something to be done. And I think that that's a really good work ethic to instill in your children. And so that's another thing. But I also thought, I'm a teacher. That's my profession. That's what I do. And I thought, teaching, and I teach 2nd grade right now, but a lot of times, even when I taught 5th grade, I was surprised to find out that kids just thought that food just magically appears at the grocery store. And then when you start telling them, no, people actually have to go out and prepare that soil and get it ready, and then plant those seeds and tend that garden and pull those weeds, and all kinds of stuff goes into getting that food to that store, wherever it is that you shop. And so a lot of different reasons. So my kids, they have a firm foundation in growing things. They have a firm foundation in experimenting with things when they grow. Sometimes we grow stuff and boy, it just doesn't work out. 2 or 3 years in a row we have tried planting corn here, and if you know anything about Central Florida, we get a ton of rain. This year's been kind of on the drier side, but the last 3 times that we planted corn, we have lost it, either due to too much rain where it drowned it, or we've had hurricanes and it just got beat down. So lots of different reasons. This year I was all excited, and my 7-year-old Jacob was totally excited, because corn is his thing, man. And we had corn and it was doing really good, and we were checking it, and I started noticing, we got some worms. And so we were out there picking worms off of this corn, and I ended up giving up, and I just pulled it all out, because they were just getting the best of me, and there wasn't a lot of corn to save. So try again. And so there we go. Perseverance. Push through it. So one of the things that I wanted to do on my channel was teach people and show people what it's like to do homesteading, even if it's on a very small piece of property. And I know you can hear the cars, and if you looked in my okra video, you could see the traffic. We live on a busy road. We don't even have an acre of land, so we are growing in very small crops, and just doing the best that we can. Another reason to grow your own food, and this again goes back to me having children. So I had children, I started thinking about more about what I ate. If you're a woman, you probably identify with this. When you're pregnant, you have to think about everything you put in your mouth because it affects that unborn child. And then after you have the baby, you have to think about what you're feeding them and how is it going to help them grow. So, and my friends kind of think I'm a control freak because I like to have a lot of control over what I put on our plates when I feed my family. And so I tend to, if I have to buy something, I try to make sure it's a non-GMO or that it's organic or whatever. And I think about when I'm planting a crop, well, what is it? What's something that I know that my family eats a lot of? And how are we going to get that grown here? And luckily for us, we do live in Central Florida, and you can grow all year round. I mean, even our winters are mild enough that you could grow even in the winter. I mean, in December, we are oftentimes hanging lights on the outside of the house in a tank top, shorts, and flip-flops. So December here is not anything like a winter that you would get if you're, say, in Montana or someplace like that. We're not getting snow and a lot of those colder temperatures. So I do like to control what we are putting in our body, and I think about, okay, like the okra, it's good for digestion, and I know my husband has a lot of stomach issues and heartburn, so I do think the okra is something that he should be having. It kind of helps with all that stuff, and I talked about that in that video about the okra. May not be the healthiest when you're doing that good old southern fried okra thing, but outside of it being fried, it's very healthy. So that was the other thing that made me want to start growing our own food. So teaching my kids and having more control over the food that I was giving my family and putting on their plates. And another good thing was it does save a lot of money. And if there's vegetables, green beans, we go through a lot of green beans. Well, if I can grow green beans, which are super easy to grow, that's a super easy crop. Any kind of beans actually is pretty easy. I have had a lot of luck with any kind of bean that I throw in the ground. So if something that your family eats, just go grow it and save yourself some money. There's a lot of ways to save money when you're doing your own food. You can can it, you can freeze it, you can dehydrate it, so you have a shelf life with it, just like if you would go and purchase canned or frozen vegetables at the supermarket. So that's another good reason to start homesteading if you're not. Probably the number one reason, especially right now, is emergency situations. We just had, we were going through life and it's all great, and all of a sudden the end of February and March, middle of March, we're getting hit with, we're on lockdown, and I can remember going into my grocery store right down the street and thinking, holy cow, I can't find anything. And luckily, I can make my own bread because bread was gone, so we were making bread. And we did have some things that we had from our garden that we could live off of. So things like that, those emergency situations. Growing a garden is great. You might not always have exactly what everybody likes, because my kids and I, we like okra. My husband doesn't. He's strictly green beans and corn kind of guy. But if you're in an emergency situation, you better learn to like something that you don't typically like all the time. So emergency situations, job loss. A lot of people right now have had loss of a job due to the pandemic. And I know we're kind of in that boat right now with my husband. And he's working some side jobs currently. But if you have a job loss, you do have your gardens and the food that you can store to fall back on. And that kind of will ease your mind, because that money that I'd be putting out for food, I don't have to, because I've got it right here in my garden, and I've stored it, and I've canned it, and I've froze it, and I've dehydrated it. So those are all some reasons to do that. And I think my favorite reason out of all of the reasons that I've given you is because it is good quality family time. And what I mean by that is, you might have movie night, you might have game night. Game night is awesome, by the way. But I don't really like to have my family sitting around the TV. Not that we don't do it. My kids do like to have movie night where we make popcorn and stuff. Last night we were watching a movie and we made popcorn balls with marshmallows. They loved it. But good quality time where you're actually there. We're out in the garden. We're getting down and dirty on the homestead, the micro mini homestead. We're pulling up those weeds and we're planting new things, and the kids are finding earthworms and playing with earthworms and watching the lizards. We love having the lizards in the garden because lizards are great insect eaters, and they're chasing lizards around and playing with each other, and the water hose is out, and people are getting cooled off in the 110 degree weather. So it's just super fun time with good quality family time that you're spending when you're out there on any kind of homestead, even if it's just tiny like mine. Good quality family time spent. So that's a little bit of background about me, why I decided to start this, even though we don't have a lot of land. And you'd be surprised with what you can really do, even if you don't have a lot of land. I have friends that come over here and they go, "Wow, you've got a lot of stuff going." And yes, we do. And I will show you that. That'll be in a later video. So that's all for now. I just wanted to give you some background about why we decided to do a little tiny micro mini homestead, even though we don't have a lot of land. Why my husband and I felt that it was important to do that. All right, so I'll sign off for now. Bye.